Panel discussion on cyber resilience in a digitally interconnected rural credit system. I would like to invite our moderator, Dr. Nalin Rai, AGM NABARD. I would like to invite our speaker, Mr. Sukrit Ghosh, Director, Data Security, Council of India. Our next speaker, Mr. Shri Prabhat Keshava, General Manager NABARD. Mr. Prashant Deshpande, CISO and CDO, Shriram Finance. Ms. Vimala Vijaya Bhaskar, Chairperson Kerala Gramin Bank. Ms. Piali Mandal, Cyber Resilience, Crisis Stimulation Advisor and CEO, The Media Coach.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session on cybersecurity resilience, focusing on the rural financial institutions and its role in the Indian financial context. The rapid digitization of rural banking service in its bargain is also creating cyber threats in the digital ecosystem. And why we are focusing on rural client bases, because this is the area which has been focused by the latest Parliamentary Committee on Finance, which says that if the rural financial system is not also brought into the same cyber security regime, it would be tough for the cyber security to evolve into a secure system. That being the context, we have an esteemed panel, and I would like to start with our GM, Shri Prabhat Keshavji, to give an overall perspective of, as a supervisor, what is the role that is being played to facilitate the creation of cybersecurity regime in the rural financial entities.
Thank you, Nalinji, other panel members, and auspicious audience present over here. NABARD, as you may be knowing, that we are the supervisors for rural cooperative banks, which comprise State Cooperative Bank and District Central Cooperative Bank, and as well as regional rural banks. Of course, regulator being Reserve Bank of India, all the frameworks and guidance is being provided by Reserve Bank of India. We are basically supervising them, and for supervising the bank, we do on-site inspections, off-site surveillance through returns collected through our Insure portal. The portal is there, and one of the return which we call in the Insure portal is related to cyber security also, which we say CS0102. One is related to understand the digital depth and the interconnectedness of the rural cooperative banks and the RRBs, at what level they are, vulnerabilities and their digital depth and all. And the second return is related to what is their grade, their controls and other aspects which they have in their bank. And with this, I would like to tell that most of the cooperative banks are in means level 1 and 2. Level 1 and 2 means less interconnected, and very few are there in 3 and 4, because they are not connected to payment systems and they don't have many products and services for which they may require a higher control and cyber resilient things. And apart from that, we have got one cyber CSIT, one cell is there, who is looking, monitoring as well as doing IT examination. We are doing IT examination. In that, we are pointing out the banks related to the controls which are not present, which are required to be done. And in fact, with my experience, I would tell you that before last 2-3 years, we have scaled the IT examination to a great extent. Means we had started 3 years back with hardly 5 or 10 IT examinations. Today, we have reached more than 100. So out of say 352 cooperative banks and now 28 RRBs, we have completed more than 110-15 banks. And this has given a lot of opportunity to understand the level of the bank's understanding about IT related things and all. It's really hard to say that it is totally vendor related, and staff quality and all such things are there. But one thing is good, that with our IT examinations and then followed up with workshops for compliance and other related things, the awareness and capacity building of the staff and the top management of the bank has happened like anything. And now a lot of demand has been created to come out with some solutions also, because now we have pointed out the problems. And with that, it's you may be knowing that NABARD has created one private organization, that is Sahkar Sarthi Private Limited, which would be supporting with all the kinds of cyber related products and digital related products, services and all. And apart from that, our one SPPID, one team is there in our NABARD, who has also gone for cyber insurance. And one incident recently had happened in one of the bank, where more than 11 crore was siphoned through cyber attacks, and that is being insured. So this is the initiatives which NABARD has taken from our side as a supervisor. And of course, the bank needs to grow themselves better in the cyber postures and all, and digital postures. And we have banks, they will also tell about what the problems they face and all. Thank you.
Thank you. As you said, compliances, capacity building are the areas on which we are focusing upon. Now I'll request Mr. Ghosh to amplify on the innovations that are shaping the future of cyber resilience and how the awareness about it is being created for the rural credit system.
Sure. Thank you so much. So awareness is one of the most, I would say, prominent terms that stays with us today. We are in the month of October, which I'm assuming that many of you are already aware that it's the month of cyber awareness. And we emphasize on doing that because while we talk about technology stacks being deployed across various tenants, it is important that we understand the fact, and I will draw an analogy from mythology. We have been talking about it earlier, that how many of you have heard about Sita Haran scenario, right? So if you recap on that, you will realize that it starts with a keen interest. Again, a disclaimer, it has nothing to do with any religious sentiments. Is probably one of the best examples that I can correlate, that's why I'm quoting, that it started with an interest towards the golden deer. Today the same thing happens in the form of greed for individuals for cashbacks and discounts. We saw technology at that era. We saw Lakshman creating that Lakshman Rekha, but probably Lakshman can be treated as the first known CISO we ever had. But still we saw what happened, right? There was an abduction that happened. And that happened because of another important reason, which is an emotional aspect, which is fear. So human will always be subject to greed and fear. So technology is there to support. We have to improve on it because every day there's a new 0 day coming. When I say 0 day, I'm talking about things that we are not aware of, similar to the way we saw COVID when it approached us. But we were able to come back, right? We are again back sitting together without any wall in between us. That can only happen even in the cyber world when we have assurance of technology as well as human awareness. And what is important for all of us to understand is, all of you come from good backgrounds, so you must have been privy to house helps, drivers, cleaners, who are not at par at financial level as what you are. But you see that you are making payments to them nowadays through UPI. They have accepted it. Earlier it was cash, but now they have also accepted UPI. So we are growing digitization economy, right? But at the same time, that same fund is going to the rural areas, because it's the fact that all these people are accumulating funds to give back to their families in the rural belt, and there are investments happening also in that scale. So awareness need not be only be focused here in the metros. It needs to go to the rural belts as well, and it can be driven through different individuals who are connected both in the urban space as well as rural space. So I would say it is important that we focus on awareness in parallel to enhancing the technology stack. So I will pause here.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. As you rightly said, we need to draw inspiration from mythology, and if we look at our original forts of the medieval era, there were multiple layers of security which one had to penetrate before they could reach the sanctum sanctorum. That is, if you transcend into the modern analogies, that is how the cyber security really should be. And now I'll request Madam RRB's chairperson to offer her views on what is the importance of cyber resilience in special context of the RRBs, STCBs and DCCBs, and what role is your institution playing to ensure creation and continuance of the dynamic cyber resilience system?
Thank you, sir. As I was speaking about how that cooperative banks are functioning and how the rural folk is understanding about the cyber part, let me say that when it is taken in terms of regional rural banks, let me include that cooperative banks and other banks also who are working for the rural population, we are playing a pivotal role as far as the resilience is concerned, and we need to be. The reason is, one is we are functioning towards the most vulnerable group, the rural folks. And another aspect is we cannot be away from the digital transformation what is happening in the country. At one extent, we can say that we wanted to have all the transactions or all the banking assistance in the manual mode what we were having 4 decades back or 5 decades back, which has got ruled out today. And at the same time, even today we are speaking about that UPI, everyone is speaking, and now one step ahead has gone in the previous panel, and they were speaking about how the lending should happen and through the digital platform. And earlier, the digital transaction, when we are speaking, it is as literally maintaining the data instead of the paper mode, keeping that a digital mode, and then using that. This was treated as the digital, and today AI is ruling us. And bank has to move in the same speed. Of course, RRBs with the assistance of regulators and NABARD, we are catching it up. But what is the threat which is happening in the today's banking industry? As we speak more about the system, as we speak more about the security and the resilience, the threat, the fraudsters. Initially, everyone knows about phishing, what's happening. And then people have said, no, there is like a problem which is happening in the name of malware. And then they have said ransomware. Then they have said deep faking. And then they have said you are not safe. And another one is they said it is not only phishing, it is there in the name of smishing, it is there in the name of cushing, it is named in the name of wishing, like that. And then I said, let me not go with that. If I know what is shing, then let me add all alphabets. There are some frauds are there and which is happening. Here and there it's happening. And another problem is, fraud means money is involved. Money involved in the digital forms means bank is involved. In the bank, if it is happening in the rural area, then we the people, regional rural people who are helping them, the name of the bank will also get spoiled. And then we can say as a byproduct, reputational risk is there. And tomorrow, even if you are constructing a big empire in the name of digital era, people will not have faith with us. So it's more important for us to ensure that a strong digital structure we are having, which is very strong and which cannot be touched by the fraudsters, and it is very safe, and I'll tell you it is very hypothetical. This cannot happen. As it says, even few days before I was in one cyber class, it was informed that the fraudsters are more brilliant, more intelligent than the ordinary people who are referred as the employees who are working for the organization, because their intent is to do the day-to-day work, complete the work and go back home.
Correct.
But the fraudsters are innovating. They are keep on upskilling. And where do we stand? But that's the challenge. That's the challenge, and we are not supposed to leave our the system and whatever the present system we are having to the hands of the fraudsters, because the country itself is depending, or we can say that we are heavily relying on the digital system and we are taking the pride. And today our country says that we the country are having the highest digital transactions, not only leading, we can even claim that the first in the world. When we are claiming like that, if frauds are happening equally and the system is not reliable, then it's $1 million question that we are not having the safe system. And one more thing I'll tell you, people were telling you have to educate your customers, educate your customers. There also, if I am giving too much of education to them, then they will not come for digital transactions at all. So it's a double-edged sword. And another one, telling everyone be safe, be safer. That word is again it becomes more abstract. So what is the question of the safety? Even now I'll tell you one example. When the websites were there, it was said that the genuineness of the websites as a user you should know. How do I know? And today there is a system saying that bank.in is introduced. Then we can say that yes, if whenever
Ma'am, we can leave that bank.in as an aspect because that is something we can discuss later on.
Yes, sir.
We will move on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as you said, there are two issues which are of context. One is the loss of reputation, more so if the clients have a rural base because they bank across generations with the banks. And second is the threat perceptions. Moving on, I would now request Piali Mandal to share her views on the preparedness for a cyber resilient system in the rural financial space. Based on her experience, she is an expert who has been dealing on these associated aspects outside India, and she would like to bring her viewpoint on how her experience can be of use in the rural financial system.
Thank you so much, Nalin, for the question. And I would say when we talk about resilience in general, not only cyber resilience, resilience across any sector has a very similar DNA. We are talking about, predicting, adapting to the unpredictable. We are talking about managing the uncertainty, and we are talking about how do we ensure continuity when any disruption happens. And even if you say the language we use, I have worked around de-radicalization, terrorism, disaster management. Even if you see the language that we use across all those resilience management, it's overlapping. What do we talk about? We talk about safeguarding critical infrastructure. We talk about ensuring public trust, which Madam just now mentioned. And we talk about how do we mobilize team under pressure. Now all that brings us to resilience, and all that starts with the question that how do we make sure that we keep the business running, we recover quickly when disruption happens. But unfortunately, what is happening today is a lot of organization, almost 80% of the organization, that they work from the position of and a place of protection and prevention. They start from the question that how do I block this threat? And when you do that, then you are working from a mindset of prevention and protection. Recently, I read a very interesting work of Carrie Paulson from MIT, where she is talking about how organizations need to move away from protection mindset to resilient mindset. Now, protection and prevention is very, very critical in terms of cyber resilience. But when we talk about resilience, it takes things forward. It talks about responding, it talks about recovery, it talks about continuity. And if you look at cyber institutes and organizations, and if you look at data, organizations who have been able to recover from cyber threat fast, where they have less downtime, are the kind of organization who already have well-planned and resilient systems in place. They have well-defined roles, and they have run their drills, their simulations to make sure that they are prepared. So when do we know that this shift has really happened in the mindset? Is when we move from that question and we ask that, okay, are we doing all this to protect, or are we doing all this so that we can operate through the disruption? Now, coming to your second part of the question on how do you embed and streamline this into the rural banking system. First and foremost, I would say that make resilience a part of your culture. Resilience is not only about tech, resilience is also about people. a lot of discussion happened where Mr. Ghosh also mentioned about awareness, Madam also mentioned about awareness. So it's people centric. So involve your team, your employees into the security loop. Second, I would talk about preparedness and training. Now, training can no longer for you remain a tick box. It has to be as immersive, like Madam is saying that the fraudsters are innovating. So you have to be a step ahead of them. And how do you do that? It's only when you prepare in real situation, real circumstances in a simulated environment. And here is a misconception between resilience and preparedness. When I ask corporates, they say we do have a plan and our team knows that if X happens, they need to do Y. And that's where the difference between resilience and preparedness comes. I'll end with this. When you have preparedness without resilience and resilience without preparedness, both of them are nothing. So preparedness without resilience would mean you are sending a student to write their exam who has marked up everything, and a single question that comes out of the syllabus, he gets flustered. And resilience without preparedness is much like sending an elite tennis player to play cricket, where he may stand the ground, play a few balls, but can he win the game for you? Absolutely no.
All right. Thank you, Piali, for focusing on resilience. Now we have got another interesting panelist, Mr. Deshpande, who works with the segment of one of the marginalized communities who are always on the move. He specializes in providing them the cyber security. He has been there, and he comes from Shriram Finance. So what is your experience of involving these people to make them cyber resilient?
Yeah, thank you, sir, first of all, for having me over here. As the other panelist member explained, my customers are truck drivers who are most of the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So the major challenge, which is across, like one of the DSCI surveys says that more than 60% population stays in rural area, and in India specifically, if you see, there is a lack of cyber knowledge for more than 90% of the people. So only 10% people knows about the cyber hygiene, and even Madam was telling out of that, more innovative people are on the other side actually. So we have left it very less people. So the basic challenges when my truck drivers are on the move, which I found is that the infrastructure and the digital awareness are the major challenges. Now, before thinking, what they should do, okay, we took an approach that how we can make our system more immune, that irrespective of his awareness or something, how we can protect. Because we are in the business of lending, we understand that lending is the business of collection also, and we need to protect our customers. So we ensured first thing is that how I make my system or my mobile application immune, so that in case of any behavior, a malicious behavior or any fraudulent activity on my application, whether I can sense that and I can stop doing those activities. So I will talk more in details in my next answer, but two-way approach, sir, what we have followed is that first thing we ensured that my applications are not become a source of attack for the customer where we lose his money. And second thing what we have done, we always feel that finance is a relationship business. So we always believe in though everything is digital, we follow the phygital also. So my feet on street, who we call as a relationship executive, we ensured that those 50,000 plus relationship executive which are on the street, they become my brand ambassador or they become my cyber ambassador to ensure that my customers are safe.
Thank you, sir.